Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarastvandakaro Vai Rukarastvanivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namah Shivaya. So we will continue on with our short 5-class segment on Sri Pancakshari Vidya. Excuse me. A text which is composed by Sri Padmapadacharya ji, a direct disciple of Adi Shankara, and what he has composed is the explanation of Om Namah Shivaya. The Om Namah Shivaya is Mantra Raja. It is supposed to be the most important and the most beneficial mantras, as we talked about it last week. And Mananat Trayate iti mantraha. And out of that mantra, then the Raja of that is the Om Namah Shivaya. So Sri Padmapadacharya ji has explained this in terms of the embedded meaning of the letters and words in Sanskritam. This is the beauty about our sampradaya, our spiritual heritage, that the language is contained in the words themselves, the etymological meaning of the words. Again, I think just a repetition for you, that the words usually have two types of meaning. What is called Vyutpatti Artha, and that means etymologically pure, and the other one is Rudhi Artha, which means just used as a convention. You just pick out a word and you just use it as a convention. And so, like the word mouse, the word mouse is by convention, because it depends on the context in which it is used. If it is used in terms of the mice that come and go in your house, and we have a tremendous problem, really, it's very interesting. I mean, it's such an education for us. I live in kind of like a foresty area with a lot of vegetation around us, and it is just full of animals of all kinds that are attracted to your home. And rat and mice problem is a major problem. So much so that we were trying to figure out where the mice are coming in from, into our pantry where food is there. But finally, there's an expert that we've known for a long time, Steve. He's just a great guy. He's a teacher of animal control and so on. He actually teaches classes in these in these 2-year colleges, I think. And he was the one who told us that it is very difficult to plug in. They need less than a half inch somewhere to come in. They squeeze their bodies. So he says the best way is to prevent them from coming in. And so you provide some external things. Poison is also part of that, where they cannot come into the house as much. Anyway, we have a mouse problem. So the word mouse is contextual. What context you are talking about? Whereas in the case of computers, the mouse has a different context. So this is what is called rudhyartha. But apart from that, in Sanskritam these days, for example, you can talk about computers and mouse and you can still use them. But 99.999% of the words have vyutpatyartha. Patyartha means that the very dhatu, the very verbal root contains the meaning of it. So similarly here, the word Om Namah Shivaya has been revealed by Sri Padmapadacharya as a vyutpatyartha. And he has given 9 different ways of doing it. Similarly, the word Narayana. The word Narayana, we might take a small class on that as well, has 11 different interpretations. Not interpretation, but 11 different ways of looking at it. The word interpretation means that it depends on, that's not the right use of the word. Interpretation means it depends upon the whim of the translator. This is how I want this to be. This is kind of an interpretation, almost like a philosophy. Whereas vyutpatyartha means that the meaning is contained in the dhatu itself. And the dhatu many times, as we know in Sanskritam, has multiple meanings. Multiple meanings. This is why a dictionary of Sanskrit is so sophisticated and hard. It's unbelievable. You look at oftentimes I come across certain words where I don't really know the meaning used in a particular context. So I'll go to the dictionary and they will be like take the word dharma. Dharma is one of the most complicated words that has so many different meanings. So that is part of it. Here, the word Om Namah, the sentence Om Namah Shivaya, Pancakshari means Namah Shivaya. Om is a separate one from that. So Namah Shivaya has 9 different views, 9 different ways of explaining. And we will not have time to do all of that. So I was just looking at it yesterday. We will take 3 of them. We'll take 3 of them. Those are given in this spreadsheet on page 70 also. And of course the commentary on Subodhini by Sri Datta. So all 9 of them are explained here. And Swami Padmapadacharya has taken 23 verses to explain these 9 meanings. And so we will take up 3 of them and possibly finish all 3 today. The continuation of last week and then maybe 2 more. And then I think for the next 2 or 3 classes, we will go into a different topic which is used in this text itself. So anyway, that will be part of it. By the way, I'm thinking that on the Memorial Day, we will still have a class, because I think we're going to be off for quite a while, as you know. And so I think that for that weekend, even though it's a 3-day weekend and sometimes we skip classes, I think we will continue to have a class on that day. So that's just on the side. I will probably confirm it with an email. So anyway, so that's the plan. We're going to go through the 3 meanings of Namah Shivaya out of the 9. And the rest of them are for us to explore on our own. So now it's interesting that out of the 9 meanings, so if you are an author who is explaining multiple meanings of a sentence, which ones will you take first? What kind of a sequence will you use? So you're not going to make it random. That doesn't make any sense, that you have 9 different meanings and you just pick from one out of like a straw. That doesn't make any sense. Realistically, there are only 2 ways of arranging the meaning of multiple meanings of a word. 2 ways. One is either the most important first, then the lesser importance later, or the least important first, progressively going into the ending, which is the most important. So that's, both of them I think are valid approaches. Random approach is not a valid approach. Here, please know that Padmapadacharya ji has chosen the most important first and then followed by less important meanings of the word Namah Shivaya. So we have already started that from last week. The most important one is going back to it, the mantra is beneficial to us, Mangalam, if we pronounce it and with the meaning revealed by it. By keeping the meaning of it in our mind, we pronounce it and we make a habit of it. This is exactly what it is said. The same thing is true for the pranava. Om. Om. So the pranava means that we should understand, even if you don't understand Om, then you should be saying Om very often in your life. You should be writing Om as often as you can. And if you understand what the word Om represents, which is where the Mandukya Upanishad, not only the only Upanishad, all the other Upanishads also, but Mandukya is dedicated to understanding the word Om, the completeness of it, the Sarvatmakatvam. And if you understand it, then as we progress in our life, to make the Atma Vidya from Paroksha to Aparoksha. To the Atma Vidya, the self-knowledge is initially a Paroksha Vidya. So when you do Shravanam, when you read and so on, it is, people can call it theoretical knowledge. That we avoid that term. Swami Dayananji had already said that that is not a term that applies here. But if you want to get a sense of it, yes, it is this is kind of like the theory is Paroksha Jnanam. And Paroksha Jnanam is relatively easy to get. It's much more structured. You just take out books, you sign up for some classes, you understand who really is a traditional teacher, you hook on to that person, and you start following the sequence of knowledge in the various Upanishads and so on. So this is what is called Paroksha Jnanam. Then comes converting the Paroksha Jnanam to Aparoksha Jnanam, to your own life itself. You have to become, so as they say, that Brahmavit, Brahma eva bhavati. Brahmavit, Brahma eva bhavati. The knower of Brahma becomes Brahma. This is the peculiarity and the very significance and the secret, if you want to say, rahasyam of Vedanta. In no other way will you have the knower of something becoming something. But in Vedanta that is the case. And that what just means is that the knower of Paroksha Jnanam attains Aparoksha Jnanam. So you don't say Brahma Asti. It becomes Brahmam Asmi. That's what it needs to be done. So that process of converting a Paroksha Jnanam to Aparoksha Jnanam takes a lifetime. It all depends on how you deserve. It doesn't have to take a lifetime. It can be much shorter if you deserved it from your previous life. But generally speaking, we're looking at our normal way of doing it. It takes quite a while to convert Paroksha Jnanam to Aparoksha Jnanam. And the process of doing that can be accelerated. This is the point I was making. That process can be accelerated by Ucharanam of Om very often, imbued with the meaning of Om. This is what needs to happen. Because otherwise you're so busy in your life, you're just doing things and you're eating, you're working and so on. And Brahman is far away from your thoughts. And so you have to, life is short, it's getting shorter. And the main purpose of one's life should be to understand Brahman. And the way to do that is to accelerate the process of learning and living. And so repeated use of the word Om is highly recommended. It's very mangalam, it's very beneficial. Similarly, Namah Shivaya is the same way. So the most important use of Namah Shivaya is given first by Sri Padmatadacharya Padacharya ji. And so there we already started the process. And so what that means is, I want the aparoksha jnanam that I am Brahman. This is what I have to do. Means I am already free. I may the very ignorance of the fact that I am free be slowly removed. You don't have to generate freedom, you are already free, but it is covered up by a cloud, so to speak. This is a very beautiful thing that Swami Maheswaranji had pointed out. I'm sure Swami Dayanand may have pointed out that also, but I don't remember that. And this is what sometimes happens. If I give reference to Swami Dayanandji and Swami Maheswaranji and Swami Chinmayanandji, they all have a clarity of understanding which is undisputable. It is just that when I was studying with them, I didn't understand. And now that I'm studying, with having spent more time, I have been able to put my mind into an understanding of the same thing. So Swami Dayanand may have also said the same thing. That's all I'm saying. What Swami Maheswaranji said is that, look, when you have a cloudy day, your conclusion is, I cannot see the sun. Sun is missing. He said that conclusion is essentially erroneous. Essentially erroneous. To say that there is no sun. Do you see any sun? No, there's no sun. It's cloudy. Means the sun is missing. But the conclusion should be, I can see the sun because I see the clouds. This is a very good way to look at it. And so that would be Paroksha Jnanam. Paroksha Jnanam. Because you cannot see the clouds as you cannot in the darkness of the night. You cannot see the clouds unless the light of the sun lights them up. And the light of the sun is visible. And so, what you are saying is that may the clouds go away so I can see the sun directly. So this is what is called Sakshat Krita. We have this Swami in Rishikesh, Swami Sakshat Kritananda. So it is a very beautiful name. Swami Dayanandji was very careful in giving names to his disciples that take sannyasa. Very, very careful. And so careful means that it should be meaning. Swami Dayanandji used to say that, for example, you cannot name a Swami Ashokananda. I don't know if there are some, forgive me if there are some, but having a word called Ashokananda is not a good word. Ashoka means absence of, may there be no shoka. Ashoka. Swami Dayanandji used to say, why even use the word shoka and then remove it? In fact, that reminds me, Swami Dayanandji used to say that I find a prayer at Christian marriages to be very strange. And so the pronouncement, may we love each other till death parts us, or something to that effect. Swamiji says that on such a mangalam, such an auspicious occasion as a marriage, the word death should not even be pronounced, should not be even brought into the vocabulary. So similarly, Ashokananda is not a good word. So Sakshat Kritananda. Sakshat Kritananda means the one who is able to see the sun directly. Sakshat means directly, without any obstructions. So the cloud is an obstruction. But anyway, going back to the original concept that I started to say was that that the conversion of paroksha jnanam to aparoksha jnanam has to be started by understanding the paroksha jnanam first. And here in this context, the paroksha jnanam means that I appreciate the presence of the sun even when he is not directly visible to me. So this would be like Brahma Asti. There is some adhara, some way where everything is based on consciousness, the presence of consciousness everywhere. Even though there is duality, you feel that there is consciousness everywhere. This is the beginning. Even if there is a duality within that understanding, that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. It's a good step. Then comes the non-duality. That's the Sakshat Karanam. Sakshat Karanam means Aparoksha Jnanam. So anyway, I'm spending a lot of time just on that background. But going back to this particular way of explaining Namah Shivaya, so the most important explanation of the word Namah Shivaya by Padmapadacharya ji is complete vairagya towards the anatma. Complete vairagya. So this is what we all need to do. So in Bhagavad Gita also, this is called Sarva Karma Sannyasa. Not partial karma. This I will do, this I will not do. To see that all karma itself comes from prarabdha karma alone. I don't really initiate anything new. So that kind of vairagya is intended in the first explanation of the meaning. So, and then it will become separate from that, less important ones, the second and the third one, which we will come later on. So let's go back and finish. We already did the start. We already started. Oops, where is my page number 2? Oh yeah, that's page number 2. So we already started. So Sri Datta had given 4 different Subodhini, what was it called? I forget. Yeah, it was called, a second. Varnaka. So he is given 4 different Varnaka. 4 different means 4 different shades, if you may, of explaining Namah Shivaya. Those were as follows. Just to now we pick up the thread on this. Let's just follow this. So the Sibodhini had given on the first verse is 4 Varnakas. And so those are Mangalam, which we already did last week. The second one is Vishaya. What is the subject matter? The third one is Avantara Prayojanam, secondary objective. And the last one is Mukhya Prayojanam, which is the primary objective. So these are the 4 ways of dissecting Namah Shivaya. So the Mangalam, we have already done that. That you, the very sacrifice, when you do some sacrifice, any kind of a sacrifice, just to pick up I think we had already covered this last week, but just to repeat it, so to start on that context, is that even for going to the temple, like supposing, we have done this very recently for our granddaughter when she was conceived, and then 6 months into the conception, and then when she was born, and then the Namakaranam, and then we just recently celebrated her first birthday. And so we would go to the priest at the Sanatana Dharma Kendra. So my son and the daughter-in-law have sort of taken him to be the priest for their yajnas. So every time what will happen is, this is what I'm saying, they will say, so Swamiji, we will come at such and such time, will it be okay? What should we bring? So he says, okay, if you want to bring some fruits and flowers, then I will provide the rest of the things. You kindly come and meet me at 1 o'clock at the Sanatana Dharma Kendra. And so, so they will do so. So now what happens is, even the collection of the flowers and fruits have a special meaning. So even if you go to a Safeway, you want to make sure that these flowers are fresh, fruits are not rotten, all Mangalam. And then when you go to the temple and give it to Kumaraswamy and say, these are the things, he accepts them, Mangalam. So this is what he is saying, is that the word, the very Tyaga, Nama means Tyaga. So one can even say Namaha could be na mama, not mine. That could be a good way to look at it. So Namaha means Tyaga. And the Tyaga itself is very Mangalam. How is it Mangalam? Because, really speaking, this is the Shraddha that comes in. When you go to Safeway to buy flowers, actually the flowers should come out of your own garden. This is the real, but Bhagavan knows it that we are living in urban settings and we don't have flowers and so on. So it's okay to go and buy it. For Naivedyam, the food should be prepared at home. That's very possible, because if you can cook it for yourself, you can certainly cook it for for Ganesha. It is much better to do it yourself as opposed to buying sweetmeats from outside. Anyway, even the very act of buying fruits and vegetables from outside, you don't say, oh my gosh, this is so expensive. This is exactly what happens these days. Every time you go out, it's such a shock how people have increased the prices tremendously. But if you go in for a puja, then you don't mind that. You say, whatever, I need to do it, whatever price it is, mangalam. Giving into to the priest, mangalam. So we covered that. Okay. So the word namaha means tyagaha. Okay. And so now we go to the second varnaka. The second varnaka is vishaya, the subject matter. So the question is, so this is the important one out of mangalam, vishayam, prayojanam, etc. The vishaya is the important one. How? What do I sacrifice? What is the meaning of sacrifice? What are we talking about? Vishaya means, subject means, what are we, what's being examined here? So what is being examined here is, and this is all explained in great detail, that anything which is characterized by the adjective, as the Americans say here, adjective, but in the English interpretation, adjective idam, idantaya, means anything which is idam needs to be given up. Anything which is idam needs to be given up. And so I leave these things. This is the subject matter of the word namaha. And I leave these things means my attempt is to be disassociated with them. My association with idam has two aspects to it. One is called ahankara based, and the other one is called mamakara based. Ahankara based means me, and mamakara means mine. Me includes things like the body, prana, mind, my intellect, my sense of pleasure, Anandamaya, not the Ananda itself, but the Anandamaya. So this is what is called Ahankara based idam. Idam is common between aham and mama. How? Because how do you know this is your body? Because this body. So when you say this body, is also idam. And so similarly, this mind, my thoughts, you can say my thoughts, but it means me, the thoughts, my breathing, I, the breather. So all this is aham. The second one is mama. You can also look at it as internal versus external. So internal is all your things that are happening to you, and external means your house, your family, your bank balance. So now you have a sense of identification with both of them. That has to be left out. You have to give those up. This is the Vishaya. This is the Vishaya. And the objective will come in the third and the fourth Varnaka. But this is the subject. This is what we are talking about. To give up your identification between the two aspects, one which you consider to be you, and the other one you consider to be yours. This is the subject of the Tyaga, Namaha. Okay? Then comes the third one, which is Prayojanam. So here, Prayojanam has two meanings. One is Avantara Prayojanam, secondary objective. The second one is Mukhya Prayojanam, as we talked about earlier. I'm just repeating it, which means the primary objective. The secondary objective is good things. You do all of this tyaga, all the given up, for what purpose? Why are you giving it up? This is the question. There must be, everything has an objective in life. When you go somewhere, you're doing it, you're going somewhere, for what purpose? So the purpose may not be thought about every second, but you have a purpose. So here, the Tyaga needs to have a purpose, and it does. What are the purpose? There are two purposes. One is secondary purpose, and the second one is primary purpose. The secondary purpose is that I will have good results in my life. I will be happier. I will be healthier. And also, so this is all part pertaining to this life, but I will also have a good chance of improving my life in the next life. Okay? So this is what is called Avantara Prayojanam. So this has to do with Artha, Kama and Dharma. All three of them. And so all the Saguna Upasana, all the Shiva Puja and all of that is based on this Prayojanam. But it turns out this is not the primary objective of myself. Because I don't know, it's not clear to me what the primary objective is, but this one seems to be okay, I can do this. I mean, what I'm saying is, I may not be able to relate to the primary objective, but I can relate to the secondary objective. I can relate to it. Because people will say that all the Vedas will also say, and even the daily life also says, that if you do the following things, that your life will improve. You'll have a better next few years, and hopefully even after death you will have a better life. So this I can relate to. I can understand that. Okay? But this is not the primary objective. Why is it not the primary objective? Because when you achieve a secondary objective, you are not done. You're not finished. Why are you not finished? Because this is our experience in life. That supposing you're taking some objective and you are obtaining something, and after you're obtaining it and you're happy, are you happy with it? I'm very happy with it. This is what we've talked about. The alam buddhi comes from food. So once you are hungry, you cannot eat anymore, and he says, no, have another samosa. No. I've had enough things. Chapati? No. I'm full. I'm happy. Are you sure? Yes, I'm completely happy. Okay. This feeling of complete happiness is only temporary. It's not as though you are happy and then you say, okay, that's it. No more eating after this. In fact, this is what exactly happens. You start planning for the next meal. Where should we go for dinner tonight? Or in India, when the domestic help will come, I still remember this so well. After living in the US for so long, you get used to just doing things on your own. You go back to India and there is still domestic help available. My mother used to when she was alive. So we would be having breakfast. And so while in the middle of the breakfast, after the breakfast is served and so on, so our domestic help will come in and say, so what should we make for lunch today? And I used to think, my God, haven't even finished the breakfast and he's talking about lunch, because he's got to prepare lunch. So anyway, the problem, it is called secondary objective, is that after achieving a secondary objective, you're not done. You're not done. It's kind of like going on a journey, and you might take some rest somewhere. Recently we attended a wedding remember that one weekend where I could not teach, so we had gone to a wedding in Southern California. So we drove with another couple, and so we made a couple of stops. So at the stop we were very happy, good, now we are hungry and we would eat something on the way. And then it's time to go on. We are not done yet. The journey is not complete. So similarly, the secondary prayojana means that the journey is not complete. We are all trying to get somewhere. Where we are going is, there is no more objectives after that. You have now achieved everything that you wanted to do. And so this is only possible if your tyaga of all the idantaya, both the ahankara based and mamakara based, is complete. That's the objective. And if you are, this is called parama prayojana. So parama prayojana means your vairagya is full. And Vairagya means you have become Sakshat Kritam. You have obtained a direct understanding that I am independent from all these dependencies that I think I was. Once that happens, you are done. And so that is where the aparoksha jnanam takes root. And so this is where the ananda becomes the fruit. So now we can wrap up because we need to go to the second and the third one. So we can say that we can wrap up the first explanation of Namah Shivaya. So just a summary of it first. So Namaha meaning Tyaga. Tyaga of what? Of idantaya. All the idam has to be given up. Okay, so this is the Tyaga. And what is the objective? What is the prayojanam? Shiva. Ananda is the prayojanam. And what kind of prayojanam? Initially, avantara prayojanam, culminating in mukhya prayojanam. So, initially, seeing that by following the steps of Tyaga, I am happier than before, but not completely happy yet. But that's a journey. That's a journey. That's exactly right. So you go on a journey and you find I'm a lot closer to Los Angeles. Because you can see the board, it's all there, truth. At first Los Angeles was 400 miles, now it's 300, now it's 200. You're getting closer. But you're going in the right direction. Supposing you are confused and you are going in the direction of Oregon, then every time there'll be 500, 600, 700. No. So it is lessening. But you're not there yet. So this is the prayojanam of the word Shiva. And then the Aya, the word Aya from Shiva, Shivaya, which is the fourth case of Shiva. So the fourth vibhakti of Shiva is Aya, Shivaya is phalam, is the fruits of my own efforts. And so now we can say Namah Shivaya means the objective of reaching Ananda by Tyaga. And realistic, we can talk about all this in a very pedantic way. We can all do this in a very pedantic way. All this is really just kind of like structural and so on. Realistically, all of us need to discover the joy of Tyaga, of Vairagya. Realistically, we have to discover on our own. Why? Because up to this point, I have been told the more things I have, the better off I am. I need more money, I need more friends, all kinds of things. More. And there comes a time, so when you say more means that less is not good, more is better. There comes a time when you realize, my God, doesn't work. If I really am able to be okay without having something that is mine, I'm not dependent on anything achieving. I'm already there. So that's when you discover realistically that simplifying your life, not being involved with it, and just be satisfied with the beauty of the contemplation on the Atma itself, of Ishvara itself, gives a lot of joy. This realistically is the Tyaga. And if you adopt that line, if you go in that direction, it improves. Every experience in your life confirms that you're on the right path. So your vairagya improves. Your sense of satisfaction without wanting anything improves. And whether you and I can get to aparoksha jnanam, we don't know. But at least that we can do is to go in that direction. This is the meaning of Namah Shivaya. So with that, the first explanation of Namah Shivaya is now over. Okay, so let's go to the second explanation. I have a feeling that the second objective I left out on my desk upstairs when I was working on it yesterday. So I'll be back in about a minute. So I'll just forgive me for bringing it back, okay? Sorry, I'm back, but I can't find those notes that I had taken in a separate page. I must have mislaid it, put it in some other. Let me make sure. Okay, so I'll just do that from the book itself as I studied yesterday. So the second explanation of Namah Shivaya given on 19 and 20 of this book is that's the following. The word Namaha is better known. You see, the explanation of the word Namaha in the first type is not very well known. That Namaha means Tyaga is not familiar to us. But in the meaning of the word as explained by Padmapadacharya ji, it should be Tyaga. In the second meaning, the word Namaha is more familiar to us. How? So it means pranam. It means bowing down. It means namaskara. This is the meaning of the word Namaha. So the word Namaha here means bowing down. Bowing down means what? Mentally bowing down. So, mental Namaha means a feeling of namrata. Namrata means that you become smaller than the person that you are bowing to, isn't it? When you say Namaha, Om Namaha, that means there is someone superior to you that you are bowing to. That's the meaning of the word Namaha. Okay? And so that means, and so here the explanation is that you bow to Shiva, who represents the ultimate Devata. Shiva here represents the ultimate Devata. You can bow to any of the Devatas. You can bow to Ganesha. You can bow to Krishna, Saraswati, any of the ones, Kartikeya, Vishnu. You can bow that, but because you think that they are superior to you and they can give you the results that you want, which is appropriate too. So the word Namaha there means pranam, my namaskara to you. Okay? So there, the word Shiva, so we look at the look at the person that you are bowing to, it represents the ultimate Devata. Because, really speaking, when you bow to Shiva, Shiva is the person that all the other Devatas also do pranams to. So it's the ultimate boss, the ultimate karma phala data. So this is the meaning, the second meaning of Namah Shivaya. And the word Aya here is the similar meaning, almost the same meaning on the first one, which means either a secondary objective or the ultimate objective. But the main difference between the first explanation and the second explanation is, in the first explanation, the word Namaha means Tyaga, and in the second meaning, it means what is called Prafvi Bhava. So Prafvi Bhava means bowing down, pranam. Bowing down, which is actually not as difficult to do as the first one. Tyaga is the next step, if you may. That is the ultimate objective of what I want to get to. But in Namaha, it is the first step where I am ready to do that. But what it also means, really realistically, is that even that is not easily achievable. Even the Namaha, pranams, Prafvi Bhavam is not easy. Not easy, I wouldn't say not easy means that it is not natural to us. Because you find people are, many of the people are not sure about spirituality, about religion, about the presence of God. Any of that, they feel that I'm living, all I have to do is to just deal with the world as I am. There's nothing else that I need to do. So if you really look at those people who have discovered, either through teaching or from their own samskaras and their vasanas and their own upbringing, a sense that there is something going on here and I need to really look into Ishvara, God. This is not normal. This itself is a very important thing. So even if you're talking about Namaha as a bowing down, you see, that's the thing. You are not going to bow and do namaskara. You won't even go to a temple unless you have some feelings and some shraddha. You see? And so even this itself is a very big thing. That that at least you just compare yourself to someone who says, what are you talking about? There's nothing in here. Just enjoy life and so on and so forth. There's no God, there's no karma phala, there is no dharma or anything like that. I mean, if you were to really look at the entire population, you will find that most of the people are of that type. except perhaps in some of the countries like India, where even if you are if you are in a village somewhere, you don't have to be very educated. You interview them. Do you think there is? What do you think? Is there? Can you please tell me if there is God? And the person is likely to say, I don't know, but I think there is. I think there is. And so, but generally speaking, even the namaha is not normal. But, and certainly when the child is growing up, you have to teach them. You have to teach them. It's interesting. My 1-year-old granddaughter is visiting. Actually, she's around here. Her mother is visiting her parents, so my son brought her here, and they slept last night, and they're here around there somewhere. So yesterday, I was taking her to the backyard. I was holding her in my arms and just sort of showing her around and so on. So in the backyard, I have a stone Ganesha. And so my great delight and astonishment, all the work that we have done in the last several months, and I have been the primary person to do that, without my asking, whenever we got close to Ganesha, she started to fold her hands. This is a wonderful thing that she's doing Namaste to Ganesha. Right now, if you ask her to do Namaste to any person, she doesn't do it because she associates doing Namaste to only to Ganesha. But at least she started. So the Namaha here means that at least we should have the attitude. And so even if Tyaga is not in our DNA yet, it will be. But if it is not in the DNA yet, then the least we should do is to do Namah Shivaya by saying, my prostrations to you, Hey Shiva, because I have a feeling you are determining my life, my future, my results, and may I submit my life to you in such a way that you will convert my life into one of two possibilities. And this we will go into the number 3. I was hoping to finish the number 3, but because of some of this, because I wasn't able to complete this, we'll finish it next week. But that also, the results of my life also will be in 2 segments. One is called Sakama, and the other one is Nishkama. So Sakama means which is secondary, and Nishkama is primary. So this we will go into a bit more detail in the third and the last explanation of Namah Shivaya, which I think it is best done if we keep it for next week. So we will do that. So with that, I could close today's class, and we will continue the third of the 5 classes next week. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Great. Wonderful. Good to see you. Subhash, I welcome you to the class. I know that you were looking into it, so I'm happy you joined us. And good to see you all. Kirsten from Italy. Shobha Dalal, it's good to see you from the back. I think you're still in back east. I'm not sure whether you're back here or not, but nice to see you all. I don't see any questions, so I will take your leave. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Hari Om.